Paid for my sis's dream wedding, only to be told I wasn't invited. Reason? Didn't match the vibe. Joke's on her. Venue just called and wants me, not her. You won't believe why. Okay. So where do I even begin with this train wreck of a situation? My head is still spinning, and honestly, part of me is still stuck between laughing hysterically and just bursting into tears. Maybe a little bit of both is in order actually. Let me give you some backstory. I have one sibling, an older sister, Marie. Marie and I, well, we've always been different. Oil and water. She was the golden child, the athlete, the charmer. I was not. I was the quiet one, the bookish one, the one who was always a little bit off in everyone's eyes, including my own family sometimes if I'm being honest. Growing up, it was always clear who was favored. Marie got the brand new sports equipment, the encouragement for every game, the pats on the back for every win. Me? I got books, which don't get me wrong. I loved books, still do. But sometimes, just sometimes I wished for a little bit of that spotlight, that easy acceptance that my sister seemed to bask in effortlessly. But, you know, you grow up, you move on, or at least you try to. I built my own life, found my own passions, my own kind of success. I work in tech, and I've done pretty well for myself. Marie, bless her heart, has always struggled a bit more. She bounces between jobs, never really finding her footing. And that's okay. Everyone's journey is different. I've always tried to be there for her. You know, sisterly love and all that. So when Marie finally met Sam and things got serious, I was genuinely happy for her. Sam seemed great. He was kind, funny, and seemed to really ground Marie. When they got engaged, I was thrilled. Wedding bells, family celebration. This was gonna be great. Then the wedding planning started and things started to get weird. Marie and Sam had this vision, a rustic, chic, bohemian dream wedding as Sam put it. Think mason jars, fairy lights, wild flowers, a live acoustic band playing indie folk, the whole 9 yards. Totally their style, I guess. Not really mine, but, hey, it's their day. Right? The thing is, rustic chic bohemian dream weddings don't exactly come cheap. And Marie, well, she's not exactly swimming in cash. Sam's a teacher, bless his heart. And Marie, well, she was between opportunities again, as she euphemistically called it, which basically meant unemployed. So they were stressed. Big time stressed. Wedding venues are expensive, catering is insane, and all those rustic chic details add up faster than you can say Pinterest board. I saw them getting overwhelmed, arguing about budgets, and frankly looking miserable instead of excited. Being the ever-helpful, ever-loving sister, I stepped in. I offered to pay for the venue, a significant chunk of it actually. The venue they had their hearts set on was beautiful. An old barn on a vineyard, exactly the vibe they were going for. But it was pricey. I could afford it, and I wanted to help make their dream a reality. They were ecstatic, relieved, grateful, or so I thought. Oh my God. Tank Cuban, you're a lifesaver. Sam squealed, hugging me tightly. Marie clapped me on the shoulder, a rare display of genuine affection. Girl, seriously, thank you. We don't know what we would have done. Don't worry about it. I said, waving it off. Happy to help. It's gonna be amazing. And for a while, it was wedding planning seemed to be back on track. The stress seemed to have lifted. I even started to feel included. They'd send me updates, ask for my opinion on things, mostly about logistics and vendors, which fair enough is more my area of expertise than bohemian chic. I felt like I was actually contributing to something special, something meaningful for my sister. Then came the invitation, or rather the lack thereof. A few weeks before the wedding, invitations went out. I knew this because my mom called, practically buzzing with excitement, talking about the beautiful invitations she'd received, how elegant they were, how excited she was for the big day. Did you get yours yet, honey? She asked me. No. Not yet, I said, a little confused. Maybe it's still in the mail? Oh, that's strange. She said, a little frown in her voice. Everyone else got theirs. Even Aunt Carol in Florida got hers already. I brushed it off. Probably just a postal delay. Right? Or maybe they just hadn't gotten around to sending mine yet. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. The days turned into a week and still no invitation. I started to get a little anxious. It was weird, really weird. I finally decided to casually ask Marie about it. I called her up, keeping my tone light and breezy. Hey, girl. Just checking in about the wedding. Everything still on track? Yeah, girl. All good. She said, a little too quickly maybe. Just finalizing a few last-minute things. Cool. Cool. I said. Hey, just out of curiosity, did you send out all the invitations already? There was a pause, a beat too long. Yeah, pretty much. She said, finally, her voice a little strained. Why? Oh, no reason. I lied. My stomach starting to clench. Just haven't gotten mine yet. Thought maybe the mail was slow. Another pause, then she just blurted it out. Look, 10 Kobot about the invitation. And then she dropped the bomb. The one that completely shattered any remaining illusion of sisterly love, of family harmony, of even basic decency. We decided not to invite you. Silence. Deafening, ringing silence in my ears. I literally couldn't speak for a moment. I thought I'd misheard her, or that it was some kind of sick joke. Wait. What? I finally managed to croak out. Did you say you're not inviting me to your wedding? Yeah, she said, her voice now annoyingly casual, like she was discussing the weather or something. Look, it's nothing personal. Okay? Nothing personal. I repeated, my voice rising in disbelief. Marie, I'm your sister and I'm paying for your venue. How is that not personal? It's about the vibe. Okay? She said, and I swear I could practically hear her rolling her eyes through the phone. Sam and we've put together this whole aesthetic, this whole thing, and you just don't really fit. I don't fit the vibe? I echoed, feeling like I'd stepped into some bizarre alternate reality. What the hell does that even mean? It's a wedding, Marie, not a Coachella after party. It's family. Your family. Yeah, but you know how our family is, she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Mom's gonna be mom, Dad's gonna drink too much and tell inappropriate jokes, Aunt Carol's gonna corner Sam and talk about her bunions for 3 hours. It's gonna be a lot, and we want to keep the energy positive. You know? She was actually trying to justify this. She was trying to convince me that uninviting her own sister to her wedding, a wedding I was financially contributing to in a major way, was somehow reasonable. And how exactly do I not fit the positive energy vibe? Marie? I asked, my voice dangerously low now. I was trying to keep it together, but I could feel my anger bubbling up hot and furious. It's just you're always so, I don't know, serious. She said, searching for the least offensive way to insult me, I guess. And you're not really a people person. You're kind of, and we want everyone to be like mingling and dancing and having fun, and well, you just kind of bring it down, bring it down. My presence as her sister would bring down her precious wedding vibe. I was so stunned, so utterly gobsmacked that for a moment, I just laughed, a short, sharp, humorless laugh. You're unbelievable. Marie. I said, finally finding my voice again, though it was shaking with rage. You're actually uninviting me to your wedding because I'm too serious and not a people person after I offered to pay for your freaking venue? Are you out of your mind? Look, I appreciate the venue thing. I really do, she said, and I could practically hear the insincerity dripping from her voice. And we'll pay you back eventually, I promise. But this is our wedding, Tenko Pan. Sam and I get to decide who's there and who's not, and we decided you're not. So what, you just expect me to just eat this? I sputtered. You expect me to just be okay with being uninvited to my own sister's wedding after I'm helping to pay for it because I don't fit your vibe? Seriously? Well, yeah. She said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Make a scene? Because drama, that would definitely kill the vibe. That was it. That was the final straw. Something inside me just snapped. Years of being the lesser sister, of being overlooked, of swallowing down hurt and resentment, all came crashing down in that moment. You know what, Marie? I said, my voice now ice cold, calm, and deadly. You're right. I wouldn't want to kill your precious vibe. So you know what? Consider the venue unpaid for. And I hung up just like that. No shouting, no arguing, no begging, just done. I immediately called the venue, explained the situation, told them I was withdrawing my financial contribution. They were understanding, to say the least. Apparently, wedding drama is their bread and butter. They said they'd have to check their contract, see what the cancellation policy was, but they'd get back to me. I figured I'd probably lose some money, maybe a deposit or something. But honestly, at that point, I didn't care. It was worth it just to wipe the smug grin off Marie's face. A couple of days went by, radio silence from Marie and Sam. Not that I expected anything else. My mom called wanting to know what was going on, why I was suddenly causing trouble and making things difficult for Marie and Sam. I explained calmly what had happened. She was not happy with Marie, to say the least. My dad surprisingly was even more furious. Turns out even he thought uninviting your own sister to your wedding was a pretty low blow. Then the venue called me back, and that's when things went from bad to absolutely gloriously, karmically hilarious. Mr. Ban, the venue manager said, his voice sounding a little flustered. We've reviewed your situation and well, there's been a bit of a development. Development? I asked, bracing myself for some kind of financial penalty. Yes. He said, taking a deep breath. It seems that the contract for Mr. Marie Bonan's wedding is actually in your name. Wait. What? I said, completely thrown. But Marie signed the contract, didn't she? No, ma'am, he said. When you offered to pay for the venue, our booking coordinator mistakenly put the contract under your name, assuming you were the primary client since you were handling the payment. Mr. Jacobin simply signed as a secondary contact for logistical purposes. I was floored. Completely and utterly floored. Somehow, due to a clerical error, I, the uninvited sister, was legally the contract holder for my sister's wedding venue. So what does that mean? I asked, still trying to wrap my head around this bizarre twist of fate. It means, Mr. Oben, he said, and I could practically hear the smile in his voice now, that you as the contract holder have the authority to cancel the event. My jaw dropped. I actually had to sit down. Karma, it seemed, was not only a bitch, but a spectacularly efficient and incredibly petty one. Are you serious? I stammered. I can actually cancel the whole thing? Yes, ma'am, he said, confirming my wildest, most vindictive fantasies. According to the contract, you are within your rights to cancel the event with full refund of any payments made, which in this case is everything since you were the one who paid the deposit. A slow evil grin spread across my face. Oh, this was too good. This was way too good. And what happens if, say, the venue cancels the event? I asked, my mind already racing with possibilities. If we cancel, he said, a slight note of confusion in his voice. Well, in that case, we would be in breach of contract and would be liable for whatever damages the client could claim. It's not something we would ever do lightly. But hypothetically, I pressed, my grin widening. If for some completely unforeseen and unavoidable reason, like say, a sudden, plumbing emergency that rendered the venue completely unusable just a day or two before the wedding, what would happen then? There was a long pause. Then he chuckled. A low, knowing chuckle. Well, Mr. Coban, he said. Hypothetically speaking, if such an unfortunate incident were to occur, and if we were forced to cancel the event on short notice, we would, of course, do everything in our power to assist the clients in finding an alternative venue. But realistically, at such short notice, especially during peak wedding season, it would be highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. I repeated, savoring the words. Yes. I imagine it would be. So, Mr. Coban, he said, his voice now laced with a definite hint of mischief. What would you like to do? What would I like to do? Oh, the possibilities were endless. I could just cancel the whole thing myself. Tell Marie and Sam to find a new venue with 2 weeks to spare and watch the chaos unfold. That would be satisfying in a way, but perhaps a little too direct, a little too obvious. No. I wanted something more subtle, more karmically delicious. Tell you what, I said, my voice now smooth as silk. I'm still willing to let the wedding go ahead if Marie and Sam agreed to a small amendment to the guest list. Amendment? He asked. His curiosity piqued. Yes, I said. I want to be re-invited, and I want a formal sincere apology from both Marie and Sam for uninviting me in the first place. And I want them to publicly acknowledge in front of all their guests how incredibly generous I was to pay for their venue, and how grateful they are for my contribution to their special day. There was another pause, then he burst out laughing. A full, hearty, unreserved laugh. Oh, Mr. Kabak, he said, wiping tears from his eyes. You are something else. I like your style. So can you do it? I asked, cutting to the chase. Can you deliver this proposal to Ms. Marie and Mr. Sam and see if they're willing to amend their plans? Consider it done. He said, his voice still bubbling with amusement. I will personally reach out to them, explain the situation, and present them with your terms. And he did. The venue manager, bless his mischievous little heart, called Marie and Sam, explained the contract error, and laid out my proposal. I can only imagine their reactions. The blood draining from their faces, the sputtering outrage, the dawning realization that they had completely and utterly screwed themselves over. Apparently, Sam lost it. Screaming, yelling, accusing the venue of blackmail and extortion. Marie, according to the venue manager, was initially speechless, then tried to bluster and threaten, demanding to speak to the manager's supervisor and threatening legal action. The venue manager, however, stood his ground, calmly explaining the contract terms and reiterating my proposal. Take it or leave it, their choice. They had about 24 hours to decide. 24 hours of glorious, delicious anticipation. I pictured Marie and Sam tearing their hair out, arguing, panicking, desperately trying to figure out how to salvage their rustic chic bohemian dream wedding from the jaws of karmic justice. Then the call came from Marie. Her voice was tight, strained, and about as sincere as a used car salesman's promise. Tenko Ban, she's voice barely above a whisper. We got the message from the venue. And? I said, trying to keep the smugness out of my voice, and failing miserably. And we agree to your terms, she choked out like each word was being dragged from her soul with rusty pliers. We'll apologize and we'll thank you publicly at the wedding. Both of you. I pressed Sam too. Yes, Sam too. She mumbled he's on board. I highly doubted that, but whatever. And you understand, I said, just to be perfectly clear that this is not just some mumbled apology. I want sincerity, Marie. I want genuine remorse. I want you to understand the magnitude of what you did and how incredibly hurtful and disrespectful it was. Silence. Then a grudging, barely audible. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Good. I said, my grin now stretching from ear to ear. Then we have a deal. I'll see you at the wedding, sister. And I hung up again, leaving her stewing in her own well-deserved humiliation. Wedding day arrived. I have to admit, part of me was actually nervous. I hadn't seen Marie or Sam since the invitation fiasco. I didn't know what to expect. Would they be openly hostile, passive-aggressive? Would Sam try to poison my champagne? Okay. Maybe that was a bit dramatic even for me. I showed up at the venue dressed to impress. Sharp suit, polished shoes, the whole 9 yards. I wanted to look like I belonged there, like I was the guest of honor, not the uninvited black sheep who had to blackmail her way in. The venue was indeed beautiful. All those rustic chic details Sam had been obsessing over were actually quite tastefully done. Fairy lights twinkled, wildflowers bloomed, the acoustic band was softly strumming some indie folk tune. The vibe, I had to admit, was pleasant, but the vibe in the air when I arrived was anything but pleasant. I could feel the tension radiating off Marie and Sam like heat from a furnace. They greeted me with stiff smiles and perfunctory handshakes. Sam's eyes were like daggers, and Marie just looked defeated. The ceremony was awkward. Beautiful setting, heartfelt vows from Sam. At least Marie just seemed to be going through the motions, but the elephant in the room was huge and hairy and wearing a vibe killer t-shirt, namely me. Then came the reception, dinner, dancing, speeches, and then it was time for the apologies and the acknowledgements. Marie went first. She stood up, cleared her throat, and launched into a speech that was clearly rehearsed and about as sincere as a politician's promise. She mumbled something about misunderstandings and communication breakdowns, and how family is the most important thing, and how she was so grateful to have Tankubin as her sister. It was painful to watch, and even more painful to listen to. Then it was Sam's turn. He stood up, took a deep breath, and actually looked me in the eye. And then something unexpected happened. He started to cry. Not just a few polite tears, mind you. Full-on shoulder shaking, mascara-running sobs. Everyone in the room went silent. Marie looked panicked. I actually felt a little bad for him for a split second. I just want to say, he choked out, his voice thick with emotion. That we are so sorry for everything, for uninviting you. It was a terrible mistake, a selfish, stupid mistake, and we are so incredibly grateful for everything you've done for us, for paying for this beautiful venue. We don't deserve you as a sister, and we are so sorry. And then he just completely broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Marie rushed to his side, awkwardly patting his back, looking utterly mortified. The whole room was silent, stunned. You could hear a pin drop. And in that moment, something shifted. The smugness, the vindictiveness, the burning anger that had been fueling me for the past few weeks, it just dissipated. It just melted away. Seeing Sam's genuine distress, seeing Marie's utter humiliation, it just wasn't satisfying anymore. It felt sad, pathetic even. The smile, the triumphant karmic grin I'd been picturing vanished from my face, replaced by something else. Something softer. Something almost pity. I stood up, walked over to Sam, put my hand on his shoulder. He looked up at me, his face blotchy and tear-streaked. Hey, I said, my voice surprisingly gentle. It's okay, Sam. Really, it's okay. And you know what? It really was in that moment, seeing their shame, their regret, their genuine distress. I realized I didn't need the public apology. I didn't need the acknowledgement. I didn't even need the wedding venue anymore. What I really truly needed was to let go of the anger, to let go of the resentment, to let go of the petty vindictiveness that had been poisoning me for so long. I looked at Marie, her face pale and drawn. She was watching me. Her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and something else. Something that might have even been hope. I gave her a small, almost imperceptible nod, just a tiny flicker of understanding of forgiveness. And then I did something completely unexpected, something that even surprised myself. I turned to the guests, raised my glass, and smiled. A genuine smile this time. You know what? I said, my voice clear and strong, cutting through the stunned silence. This is a beautiful wedding, and Marie and Sam are a beautiful couple. And you know what else? They're paying for an amazing band. So let's forget about all the drama, all the vibes, and just celebrate to Marie and Sam. And I raised my glass, and the guests slowly at first, then with increasing enthusiasm, raised theirs too. And the band, sensing the shift in mood, struck up a lively tune, and slowly, hesitantly, people started to smile, to laugh, to mingle, to dance, and the genuine heartfelt smile returned to my face. Not a smile of triumph or vindication or petty revenge, but a smile of peace, of acceptance, of maybe even forgiveness. The wedding didn't magically transform into some perfect fairy tale. There was still an undercurrent of awkwardness, of unspoken tension, but it was okay. It was enough. And as I watched Marie and Sam awkwardly swaying to the music surrounded by their friends and family, I realized something profound. Karma might be a bit sure, but sometimes forgiveness is even better, and sometimes the best revenge is just letting go and finding your own damn vibe no matter what anyone else thinks. 6 months after the wedding, I was sitting in my apartment, working on a complex coding project when my phone buzzed. Marie's face flashed on the screen. I hesitated. We'd been texting occasionally since the wedding, mostly perfunctory birthday wishes and holiday greetings. Nothing substantial. "Hello?" I answered, trying to keep my voice neutral. "Hey," Marie said. There was something different in her tone. Less defensive. "Are you free for coffee this weekend?" I was surprised. "Yeah, I could do Saturday afternoon." "Great. The place near your office? Around 2? "Sure." Saturday came, and I arrived at the cafe a few minutes early. Marie was already there, nursing a latte, looking more subdued than I'd seen her in years. The flashy confidence that had always defined her seemed dimmed. "Thanks for coming," she said as I sat down. I nodded, ordered a black coffee, and waited. This was clearly her show. "Sam and I separated," she said finally, staring into her cup. 2 weeks ago." "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. Despite everything, I didn't want her to be unhappy. She gave a small, bitter laugh. "Don't be. It was coming for a while. Even before the wedding." She looked up at me. "Actually, that whole mess with you. It was a symptom of bigger problems." I raised an eyebrow, encouraging her to continue. "We were fighting all the time. About money, about his parents, about my job situation. The wedding just made everything worse," she sighed. "When Sam suggested not inviting you because you didn't fit the vibe, I went along with it because I don't know. It felt like one problem I could actually solve. Like I had some control over something." I stayed quiet, letting her talk. "After the wedding, things got even worse. We were still in debt despite your help, and every time we fought, he'd throw the wedding in my face. How I'd humiliated him in front of everyone. How my sister had to save our wedding." She shook her head. "Eventually I realized I married him for all the wrong reasons. I thought he grounded me, but really I was just afraid of being alone." The barista brought my coffee. I took a sip, considering my response. "That doesn't sound easy," I said finally. "It wasn't." She fiddled with her cup. "Anyway, I'm crashing at Dad's for now. Looking for my own place. And I'm interviewing for a real job next week. Tech support for a healthcare company." "That's great," I said, genuinely pleased. "You've always been good with people." She looked up, surprised at the compliment, and gave me a small smile. "I'm trying to get my act together. Finally." She hesitated. "And I wanted to thank you properly. Without an audience. For what you did at the wedding." "Which part? The blackmail or the toast?" I asked wryly. She laughed, a real laugh this time. "Both, actually. The blackmail was. Well, I deserved it. But the toast." She swallowed hard. "You could have really rubbed it in. Made us grovel. But you didn't. You showed mercy when I really didn't deserve it. I considered this. I didn't do it for you, if I'm being honest. I did it for me. Carrying around all that resentment was exhausting." Marie nodded. "Still. Thank you." She took a deep breath. "And I'm sorry. Not just for the wedding, but for everything. For all the years I took advantage of being the favorite. For never acknowledging how hard things were for you growing up. For never being the sister you deserved." I was stunned. In 30+ years, I'd never heard Marie apologize like this. Never seen her take responsibility so completely. "I don't expect us to suddenly be best friends," she continued. "But I'd like to try to be better. To have a real relationship." I felt something shift inside me, the last piece of that old resentment finally dissolving. "I'd like that too," I said. We spent the next hour actually talking, really talking, for what felt like the first time in our adult lives. About our childhood, our parents, our struggles. It wasn't perfect or easy, but it was real. As we were leaving, Marie hesitated at the door. "One more thing," she said. "Mom and Dad's anniversary is coming up. Their 30th. I was thinking we could plan something together? If you want to." I smiled. "Yeah. I'd like that." Walking home, I thought about the strangeness of life, how sometimes the worst moments can lead to the best changes. That terrible wedding had been a blessing in disguise, forcing us to finally confront decades of family dysfunction. And as for Sam? I heard through the family grapevine that he was dating someone new already, another bohemian type who was apparently much better at matching his vibe. Good for him. Some people never change, but that wasn't my problem anymore. That night, I sent a small gift basket to the venue manager who had unwittingly changed the course of our family's history. The card read simply, "Thanks for the mix-up. It was just the vibe we needed."